Despite Pokemon being one of my favorite things since its original release back in 1998, I'm still really new to the world of Pokemon fan games. But one fan game that I did know about was Pokemon Uranium, when back in 2016 I played it on my old channel, which I really hope nobody ever finds. The game was making waves not only because it was a pretty good Pokemon game, but because Nintendo and the Pokemon Company had placed several cease and desist orders against the developers, ultimately leading to it being shut down. While things seem a bit more lax now with basically an infinite number of ROM hacks and fan games, this was the first and one of the only fan games that I had played before starting this channel. So when I found out that some of the original Uranium devs had created and released the first third of a brand new game, I had to check it out. This is Pokemon Flux, the fan game with an entirely new region, new Pokemon and regional variants, and a new battle mechanic known as Flux move, which combines Z moves with kind of like a one-turn Dynamax move into something that's totally different and unique. And to add some extra challenge, we're going to be playing this as a hardcore Nuzlocke, which means if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead. The level cap is the next leader's ace, no active items can be used in battle, and we're going to be playing on set mode. If you aren't already, please consider subscribing, it really helps out, and if you like the video, give that thumb a little tickle down below. The game kicks off with the championship battle. The stadium is full, and we see the current champion Alistair facing off against Bryant. It's a 2v2 battle, which has a nice degree of strategy. And here is when we're introduced to Flux moves, the new battle mechanic of this game. Alistair takes the challenger's Pokemon out in one hit, and the league season ends in his victory. At this point, we're introduced to our three protagonists of this game. We have anime protagonist, the girl, and the nerd. Which character you pick dictates which partner Pokemon you start the game with. In Pokemon Flux, you still get to choose your traditional starter Pokemon for Professor Reed, but Sky, Terra, and Aster each have their own signature Pokemon that we'll be introduced to shortly. I choose Terra because, honestly, I love her color scheme, and I know her partner Pokemon is like a superhero dog thing, and that's just adorable. The game officially kicks off with the three of us leaving the stadium, talking about how cool the match was. Tomorrow's the day we receive our Pokemon license and our starter Pokemon. We hear someone calling for help. Heading down to investigate, we see a woman and her son being harassed by some powerful-looking Pokemon. These are Alter Pokemon. They act kind of like boss Pokemon throughout our run. They've been, well, altered by Flux energy, and they're much more powerful than a typical Pokemon. So it's kind of like a Dynamax Den Pokemon, but they're just walking around. Alistair shows up, recognizes the potential we have as trainers, mostly because he can tell that the camera's focused on us. He offers us each a Pokemon to help drive off these beasts. He first gives Sky and Aster their partners, then gives us Lunapop. And look at these little overworld sprites! A battle kicks off against the altered Tanskier. And after a few turns, Alistair uses a Flux move, defeating the Tanskier in one hit, similar to what he did in the championship round. He thanks us for helping him in the battle, and he tells us to keep our new friends. Nice! He also mentions that the future is in our hands as he heads back into the city, and we head home. The next morning, we wake up in our room. Checking out our Lunapop, we see that he's a ground fighting type. And I love the designs of the Pokemon in this game. A Skype call is coming in on our PC. It's Sky, and he's waiting for us to head over to Professor Reed's lab. One more thing worth noting on encounters and level caps, I'm going to be treating the wild Alter Pokemon as static encounters, so on the routes that have them, there'll be a second eligible encounter. As for the level caps, while there aren't traditional gyms in this game, there are area boss trainer battles and tournaments that in this demo I'll be using as the level caps. Meeting Sky outside the lab, we head inside and meet up with Alistair. Professor Reed has a big speech prepared about us receiving our first Pokemon, but wait a second. You already have Pokemon! I guess Aster didn't tell their dad what happened the night before, but anyways, after talking to us for a bit, he decides that we get to choose to start a Pokemon anyways. I mean, he already had him set aside, what the hell is he gonna do with him? Looking at our choices, we have Maz, Chiclet, and Findolf. All of whom I really like their designs, and all of whom I have no idea what their secondary typings are, or what they evolve into. Basing the fact that I already have a ground Pokemon and water Pokemon are typically pretty common, I decided to choose Maz. Aster does the normal rival thing, choosing Chiclet, and Sky is just happy to be here, and now he has two water Pokemon. Aster obviously immediately challenges us to a battle, and 2v2 battles are the league format in this game, which is really cool because it's how we do it in real life. It also adds quite a bit of difficulty to a standard Nuzlocke. After taking big damage from Acid, which apparently is a spread move in this game, I find Aster is doubly effective against my Maz. A Dust Kick takes Minion out in one, so I was right assuming it was poison, since it's purple. Going for a Dust Kick on Chiclet, we just barely fail to take it down due to the growl. But after one more round, we defeat Aster in our first rival battle. Professor Reed lets us know that the next step is to head over to Condor City and officially register with the Pokemon League. Then he gives us our Pokeballs as well as our Pokedex, and the Nuzlocke officially begins. Over in Warbler Park, we get our first encounter, an Outon. After training up a bit, we run into Sky, who we didn't battle in the lab. Heading up to a practice field, it's time to take on our second rival for the first time. He sends out a Humborb and Skelekid, and we go ahead and send out our starters. Swapping into Outon, it tanks a bubble pretty well as Humborb knocks us deep into the red. but we do manage to KO the Skelekid and won, luckily. Recalling Maz, we go for Disarming Voice, doing okay damage to them both, and then we focus on the bird, doubling into the slot, taking it down. Finally, after doubling into Findolf, we finish it off, winning the battle. Sky lets us know that in traditional protagonist fashion, that he'll become the champion no matter what, and we're off to Condor City. Worth noting quick is that I love the way the camera pans over each area that you go to. But outside the League HQ, we meet up with our friends heading inside. We find Alistair speaking to a purple-haired man, letting him know that effective immediately, he's retiring, which is really weird timing considering that the game just started and bad stuff's probably going to happen, but, you know. He talks about how there are plenty of young, strong trainers out there to help with the Alter Pokemon threat, and then looks over at us. Perfect timing. Alistair heads out, and the man approaches us, introducing himself as Aquila. There's a lot of A names in this game. He's the head of the Pokemon League, and his family runs the Altair Corporation, which basically runs everything else. He gives us our Flux bracers, which allow us to use Flux moves. Normally to register with the Pokemon League, there are registration steps, tests, etc. that want us to go through, but in a nice wink-wink moment, we don't have to do any of that stuff. Challenging us to a tutorial battle, it's time for us to test out our new Flux moves. He sends out Sluchu, which is like a slug Pika clone. It's kind of cool. And we send out Maz. We both ready up our Flux moves, and it's worth noting here again how these are similar to Dynamax moves. The first word in front of your move dictates the effect that the move has, so my Sharp increases my attack, and Aquila's Electrified moves set up Terrain. The second word dictates the type and power of the attack. We both do minimal damage to one another as a Leafage takes it down deep into the red, but he does get off the paralysis with a Nuzzle. After we break through, we manage to take the slug down, winning the battle. Aquila then takes us over to the Flux kiosks. The more Alter Pokemon we defeat, they give us resources to create and apply more powerful Flux moves. The way the Pokemon League works in Altaria is a little bit different than the traditional gym system. There are 3 different tournaments that we need to enter to earn League emblems. Once we have all 3, we can then enter the Pokemon League. The first one is over in Rook Town, so that's ultimately our destination. Along the Gold Coast, we find ourselves a regional Nidoran. Its color code dictates its primary typing as opposed to gender, so this one is ground instead of poison, and once it evolves, it'll be ground to ice. Over in Frigate Strait, we run into a Sluchu of our own. In Alba Town, we head north towards the forest, but we find that there's a League guard there preventing anyone from going inside. There are powerful Alter Pokemon running wild, and unless you have permission from the principal of Alba Academy, you can't go in. We follow this kid Gale back to his school to get some more information. Gale lets us know that there's a school tournament, and winning it should prove that he's strong enough to enter the forest. So that's also our plan. Heading outside, we enter the tournament, finding out that the prize is cut, and after a little bit of training, we kick some things off. Sending out Sluchu and Alton, Anthony's Ladybug readies his Flux move. An Air Slash does huge damage to both bugs as Swarm scores a critical on both of us, doing more damage than I'd expect, and then a Mud Slap gets our Slug really low. Swapping into Maz, another Air Cutter takes both bugs down and we win the battle. Our second match is up against Judy. She kicks things off with a Cavavine and an Alton. Going for an Electro Web Air Slash combo, we get both Pokemon pretty low as they just lower Alton's stats. After another round of spread moves, we take both Pokemon down, ending the second round. Janine is our third match, and she has 2 water Pokemon. Swapping into Maz, her Sluchu uses this Flux moves doing very little damage, and we go ahead and charge up with our Sluchu. Going for an Electro Wave Bloom combo, we heal up a bit, OHKOing the Salamini, and getting Sluchu deep into the red. I probably should have assumed this thing had Volt Absorb, so after healing it back up, a Leaf Tornado takes it down, and we earn our 3rd win. Our 4th and final battle is up against Gale. A Disarming Voice reveals a regional Zora, as they double into Alton doing some decent damage, but an Electro Web takes the bird down. The real puppy comes out next, swapping into my own Dogo. Zora readies its Flux moves, doing okay damage to both of my Pokemon, as we go for a Nuzzle. Swapping into Maz, an Electro Web does basically nothing, and my Slug is very low. Sending in Nidoran, we ready a Bloom, healing back up a bit. Launching it still doesn't do a whole hell of a lot of damage though. A Dust Kick does pretty good damage to Tanape, as a Leafage takes Zora down. Now able to double up into the puppy slot, we take it down, earning Cut as our reward. Upon reaching level 16, our starter Maz evolves into Mossir, ditching the bug typing for Psychic. Nice. Going to meet up with Gale after the fight, he tells us that he needed Cut to get into the forest to save his roommate. Turns out he had gone there a few days ago before the Alter Pokemon has shown up, and no one's heard from him since. And nobody's even realized that he's missing, because while he is a good trainer, apparently he's a really crappy student and doesn't go to class. We agree to help him since he knows the way into the forest from within the school, and we kinda need to get through the forest anyways, so we meet him in the library after dark. We also run into Aster quick reading up on the region, commenting on how Altaria doesn't have any dragon Pokemon. I bet that's foreshadowing. Gale meets us at the back of the library, revealing a door hiding behind this bookcase, and we enter the Alba Woods. Making our way through, we grab ourselves a regional Shroomish, and in the process, our Nidoran evolves into a Nidorime, adding the Ice type. Next, we find a shiny Mageef! Oh my gosh, Shiny Claws, yes, another encounter. We then evolve our bird right away into Corsoir, and look at this smug little punk. Also need to throw it out there, I found a Nursa and I thought it was a static Pokemon. I got really excited and I caught it. And then when I realized it was just a rare spawn, I ditched the Shroomish and stuck with this. That was my bad, but it'll punish me later, I promise. Battling this Ultra Pustulant doesn't prove too difficult. After paralyzing it, it goes down fairly quickly. But then the real challenge happens when we find Leo trying to fend off this giant ghost weasel. Gale gets its attention by throwing a giant stick at it, and what the hell are you doing? Now I have to battle this thing! With Grimpass's normal ghost typing, I am going to be having a rough time. After taking Gale's first Pokemon down in one shot, I go for the paralysis, as its Flux move takes down another one of Gale's Pokemon. Next, I accidentally cancel my Flux move, which is unfortunate because it used the FP, and then Slewchew gets knocked really, really low. Swapping into Outen, we get bit for about 30%, and with an Air Cutter, we get down to about half. After having our stats lowered, a quick attack takes down our Outen. Our first loss. I'm sorry, buddy. Setting in Mossier, I remember that I'm Psychic, and I need to swap again, sending in Nidorime, as Gale's last Pokemon gets sent out. A Mudshot does okay damage, but a Bite does a heck of a lot more. Hoping for the accuracy drop, I go for a Dust Kick, but now I'm down to just 5 HP when I swap in a Lunapup. A Bright Quake still doesn't do it, but at least I can resist his bites. But I'm able to finish this thing off and save Leo. Heading back into Alba Town, we're greeted by the principal who berates Leo and Gale because of their actions, and then he expels them both. After learning that we actually took down the Alter Pokemon and that we were only in there in the first place to save Leo, he offers Gale the opportunity to stay at school because he's at the top of the class. He declines the offer, however, saying that he and Leo will both be leaving Alba Academy and entering the Pokemon League. I'm not sure if that's exactly how it works, but go for it, kids. This opens up another tournament over at the school to compete for an egg, and in the first round we take on Jeremy, who has both Nidorime codes on his squad. A Dust Kick does good damage to our Slewchew, with a Double Kick gets the white coat deep into the red, and a Bubble Beam OHKOs the brown coat. We take some chip damage from a Powder Snow and then finish the Nido off, ending the first round. Up next is the janitor. Why is he allowed to compete? He's faculty. And why did he just send in a regular Trubbish? Oh, and what the hell is this thing? An Acid does minimal damage to us, but we take down the Gullet, doubling into its slot, and he sends out a Poochlet. Swapping into Corsoir, we can go for a Bulldoze, as it and Pluck take out the trash. With only Poochlet up, we manage to take it down, winning our second match. Sky's up third, sending an Evolved Navibri, as well as a Rodillo. Swapping Nursa in, it tanks a Bullet Seed, and a Flame Wheel basically does nothing to Slewchew, and an Electro Web on my end does big damage to both of his Pokemon. Going for a Helping Hand assisted Electro Web, we barely hold on after a Bullet Seed, but we manage to take down both of his Pokemon. Sending out his 2 Water Starters, we swap into Mouse here, tanking both attacks and basically doing nothing to Dolfender. A Helping Hand boosted Bloom knocks both Pokemon out, and we move on to the finals. Leo is our final opponent as he sends out his Emberge, as well as an Evolved Shouten. Swapping Nurse in, we're hit with an Air Cutter while charging up. Next, we use a Helping Hand assisted Electro Web, OHKOing the Oustin and almost KOing this Flaming Egg. Chimicol comes in, lowering our speed as Nursa goes in for another Force Palm, and then another Electro Web takes out the egg, leading into Flagger, his final Pokemon. We get hit with a Flame Charge for minimal damage, and a Bite does an okay amount. Unfortunately, it flinches us though. Not being able to switch due to the wrap, I need to hope for low rolls, and I know I'm dead here. Sending out Nidorime, a Helping Hand assisted Mudshot takes down the Fire Cat, with Bite only doing about 10. Follow-up Quick Attack does okay damage to us, but we manage to finish off the battle, and with that, we earn the top spot in the tourney, getting an egg. Back on our journey, we run into Aster. They want to know how much stronger we've gotten since we haven't seen them in a while. They send out Oustin and Poochlet, and we send out our Lunapup as well as Nursa. I use Detect, assuming they're going to double into my slot, as a Force Palm almost KOs the Possum, and Nursa takes a bit of damage from a Bite. Swapping the Nidorime, we tank an Air Cutter pretty well as another Force Palm takes out Astra's first Pokemon. Minion comes in next, and we go for a Helping Hand assisted Icy Wind, taking down their Owlcat and doing big damage to Minion. Out next comes the Evolved Burnagus, with us going for a Helping Hand assisted Mudshot for the OHKO and then taking minimal damage again from Minion. Finally, a Mudshot takes care of the Vampire Bat, and we head into the mines. Inside the Rook mine, we find ourselves a Septal. Deeper into the cave system, we find Alistair in front of a giant Flux crystal. He talks to us for a while about the history of Flux energy, then eventually challenges to a battle, assuring us that this isn't his ace team, don't worry. He sends in a Grizzly and a Calmite up against our Seer Nurser combo. Setting up a Helping Hand assisted Bloom, his Grizzlet gets ready as well, but lucky for me, we take them both out in one hit. Aeropin and Sputya come out next, and with an assisted Leaf Tornado, we do less than half to the Sputya, while Nursa gets doubled up on. Trying for a Psy Beam this time, we get Aeropin down into the deep yellow as Nursa gets hit again, and then Whirlwind it out. Nina Rhyme gets tossed in, and with an Icy Wind, we take down both Pokemon, and a lot of my guys are starting to get close to the level cap. Alistair comments on how much we've grown, and he gives us Rock Smash as a reward. Now we're able to get through the rest of the mines. Once we enter the final chamber, we hear someone screaming in the distance about a ghost, so we go to investigate it and find this horrifying Wishy-Washy. This thing is so cool. Going for an assisted Bloom right away, we managed to do about half. As I get O-Code? Wait, why aren't I dead? I didn't even bother looking at Nursa's ability. Apparently, if it has full health, it can revive its partner once? Who knew? After almost losing our starter, we swap in a Lunapup and go for a Charm with Nursa to lower its attack, only for it to use Signal Beam and destroy my puppy. I have Luna protect itself as a Thunder Punch drop this thing to its schooling. Finally swapping into our Salamander, one more Thunder Punch manages to take it down. With the Altar Pokemon taken care of, we can go ahead and leave the cave and head over to Rooktown. Once we get into town, it seems pretty deserted. Searching the town, we find a bunch of people out in front of the tavern arguing with some kid. Apparently the town has been without power for some time and they're looking for answers. His name is Xander Altair, and apparently his father's the CEO of the Altair Corporation, who own the power plant and keep the town up and running. He says there's no ETA and one that'll be fixed, but he'll go investigate it himself and that everyone should be grateful for his help. And this kid is an entitled dick. After the crowd disperses, we're introduced to Nula, who not only runs the tavern, but is the league leader as well. She explains that with the plant shut down, the town has no power, and we won't be able to hold the tournament until everything is back up and running. She gets back into the bar, and Astra goes to check things around town, and we head inside with Sky to grab a drink. I can't think of anything better than returning here after a long day's work and cracking a cold open with the boys. Heading out to the power corridor, we meet up with Astra. When some guards won't let us pass, they create a distraction by pulling a wicked Lance move and just straight up attacking this dude with their Pokemon, allowing us to head to the north and around the gate. We also take this opportunity to grab an Altar Lead Light as well as a Flagger of our own. Flying back to Condor City, we quickly grab a Water Stone as well as a Fire Stone, evolving both our Salamander as well as our Inflacta. Back in the desert, we get to the power plant with Xander waiting for us outside. He says he doesn't need any help and that he has everything under control, challenging us to a battle. His Corsoir and Meowth both come out against our new Cheetah and our Light Bulb. Going for a Flame, we do about 50% of both of his Pokemon as they double into our Light Bulb and he gets taken out already. I'm also not 100% sure how this entire field is poisoned now, but it probably has something to do with Meowth. Sending in our Salamander, we ready up a Flood, as that and a Flame Charge manage to KO both of his Pokemon. Tanskier and Speddle come out on his side as we swap into Mouseer. They both take decent damage but are still above half. Doubling into Septol slot, we manage to get the KO, but not before I let two Psychic Pokemon stay in against a Dark Pokemon, and my Salamander gets taken out. Sending out Lunapup, we combo into slot, taking it down, defeating Xander. After being very condescending, our friends catch up and we all head inside to work together. It turns out there's some powerful Altar Pokemon that have invaded the power plant, forcing it to shut down. We need to reset the systems and take them out in order to get everything up and running again. We also run into this awesome guy. But skipping ahead not to spoil the puzzles, we grab all the necessary keys and head into the main chamber, only to get ambushed by this giant Negawatt. This thing is awesome. I swap Nina Ryan in, assuming for an electric attack as it sets up a Reflect. Navabri goes for a Bullet Seed, and I'm pretty sure it somehow did negative damage to this thing. It readies his Flux move, taking down Sky's Pokemon, as a Mud Shot only does about 15%. We go for another feud, taking it below half, as he continues to just one-shot Sky's Pokemon. Going for a cut, we do even less than a Mud Shot, and I do not know what I was expecting. Swapping in a Lunapup for resistances, a Power Tip does about 25% to us. After a Bulldoze, we manage to take it down, restoring power to the plant. Back outside, Xander tries to have us arrested because we know too much. This kid just keeps on getting worse by the second. Lucky for us, Daddy lands in his helicopter, scolding his son and putting him in timeout, and we're free to go compete for our league emblem. On our way to the stadium, we're stopped by Professor Reed, who gives us a Moonstone for our Lunapup. I was wondering how to evolve this thing. Giving our puppy this rock empowers it to evolve and assume the classic superhero pose. This thing is wicked. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The way emblem battles work is you need to battle other trainers until you've defeated 4 of them, earning 4 victory stars. You can then challenge the leader, assuming that you defeat them, you're giving your emblem. So it's kind of like a mini Elite 4 battle plus a champion, which is kind of cool. We're free to move around and challenge any of the 8 trainers we want to get our 4 stars. So I imagine if this was real life, it would probably be a round robin tournament. Our first match is up against this electrician. He sends in a Cappy Mingo and a Gunafix up against our Hero Loon and our Carmelisle. Readying Rock Smash, Carmelisle uses Struggle Bug, and it has a really cool ability that when it lowers an opponent's stat, it increases that stat for itself. While it doesn't do too much damage, we are now at +2 special attack. A Rock Smash comes in doing massive damage to both of them, as the Cappy heals the party back up, and a Fire Punch does big damage to our Bug. Now to heal up, we go for a Parabolic Charge and double into Gunfix, taking it out. Incilatex is up next, and we swap into Corsuave, going for a Bulldoze, doing some decent damage all around. The robot then sets up Reflect, and Cappy helps out for, reasons. Swapping into Neuron, we Storm Throw this battery to avoid the Reflect boost, taking it down really low as Cappy heals him back up again with a Life Dew. This time going for a Mud Shot on Cappy, doing basically nothing, but a Storm Throw does take out the battery as he sends in his Gunafix. Mud Shot does about 30%, and then we take out the Cappy with a Storm Throw. One more Stone Throw puts this little fighter down, and we've earned our first star. Our second match is up against Gale. Looking to just end this as quickly as possible, I have both of my Pokemon ready their Flux move, taking them both down without much issue. Then he goes ahead and sends in his second Tanskir as well as a Grimpass. We double up on the Ghost, managing to take it out, but we both take some huge damage in the process, with Corsuave almost going down. Swapping both Pokemon out, we send in Luna and Rhyme, and with that, we earn our second star. For our third match, we're up against this random guy. Our Cheetah takes out Magnemite in one shot, as Trubbish gets knocked down to about half. A Cometeor comes out next, and this thing is really cool. Protecting with Luna, we crunch the rock, doing some excellent damage, but our Cheetah gets hit a little bit below half. Swapping into Corsuave and Mouseir, Trubbish does some damage to us with a takedown. I ready up with Corsuave as an Ancient Power takes out my bird. This is the first shiny that I've ever used in a video. How dare you, sir? An Icy Wind does a lot less damage than I wish it did, and how is Psybeam neutral on this trash bird? Nidoran gets hit down into the red, swapping in for Hero Loon as Mouseir readies another Bloom. Garbagle also readies up its Flux move as it does about 25% to each of my Pokemon. After failing to put it to sleep, Hero Loon throws it up against a wall, earning our third star. Deciding to take on Sky for our final star, he sends out Gibraltar and Nafabri. Readying up a flame, we do really good damage against his team. As our Bug is almost taken out, we manage to take down his first Pokemon. With Zaritinian, I go for an E-Speed on Gibraltar, knowing it's my only way Camelo is going to be able to survive, and I don't get the Oko, and I don't get the KO, and my Bug goes down. Luckily, Serentine doesn't go for a Water move, as I send in Mouseir. Another E-Speed takes the Mouse down as a Water Pulse slams us below half. A Leaf Tornado does great damage, and now Delfender is out too. Swapping into Hero Loon, he gets knocked down to about half as a Bloom comes out, KOing one of his Pokemon, but Delfender manages to hold on. After one more turn, we take the Dolphin out, and we can move on to our match against Nola. So the crappy thing here is that I can't shuffle my party before this match, so my first Pokemon's already dead, so I need to just go into a bad switch. And what the hell are both of these guys? I do love their designs, and is that Skull a butt? Swapping into Mouseir, I ready a Flame, almost getting the double KO, as his Bloom does very little to us. Replacing Skullbutt is a regional Arbok, and he just wants to say howdy. An E-Speed takes out this turnip as we go for a Leaf Tornado on Arbok, before we both tank a Rock Smash. Go-Go comes out next for Nula, as we double into that slot, taking it out before it gets the chance to do anything. Arbok does some good damage to us, knocking us down into the red, but after doubling up, we take it down and earn our first League Emblem. It's at this point that I assume the first leg of our journey is done. I know there are some more cutscenes back in Condor City, and Aquila meets us outside the arena, asking us to come back with him to Condor City to discuss things. Heading back to the League HQ, we go upstairs and meet the Altair siblings. Aquila's up there with his sister Andromeda, who challenges us to a battle. Oh god, no. I didn't swap any of my team out. I thought the fighting was done. I am completely and utterly screwed here. I swap Mouseir in since my Bug's already dead, as her Nursa readies up a Shock. Her Salamasol takes us deep into the red as the Shock takes out our first Pokemon. Sending in Hero Loon, I glitch out my Flux move again by mistake as a Leaf Tornado fails to get the Oko. Mossier gets doubled into and is now under half. I missed my Leaf Tornado, but a Storm Throw does manage to take care of the Nursa. Even though I yawned, I can't really swap out as Salamander comes in and sets up a Flood. I need to finish this battle. My Hurloon gets taken down deep into the red from Flood, as I somehow managed to use the wrong moves on the wrong opponents, taking down the Salmon and not the Salamander. Nita Regina comes out, and I do love this Winter Coat design. Swapping into my own Nina Rhyme, she gets the double KO on me. And I can't win this because my only alive Pokemon is asleep. Muddy Water takes out my Mossier, and I have just these last two Pokemon that I need to send back out to die again. And I lost. I failed the Nuzlocke. So just so I can get through the cutscene, I animate Coursewile's body and finish things off as Andreas comes in. They have an offer for us. The Altair Corporation wants to sponsor us as we fight through the league. Secretly, of course. We'll be given money and resources, but as a trade-off, we may be asked to check out weird altar sites similar to the power plant situation we had dealt with earlier. It's all in an effort to help them out with Project Excalibur, which is designed to put an end to the altar Pokemon attacks altogether. Apparently, Astra's biological parents were killed by an altar Pokemon, so this would be an opportunity for us to help out and end these horrific attacks. But without spoiling too much, we agree, and that's where the part 1 of Pokemon Flux ends. I absolutely loved this game, and I definitely want to do another run at it since I did lose the Nuzlocke. So I will definitely be coming back, not only when part 2 comes out, but to redo part 1 and actually win. So if you made it this far into the video and you're not subscribed, like, what's wrong with you? Come on, do the thing and give me a thumbs up. It really means a lot, and it helps out. I really appreciate it. But I'll be back with another Pokemon video. Let me know what you thought of Pokemon Flux, and let me know what other fan games or challenges you want to see me tackle. But until next time, see ya.